Howdy ho, chaps and chapettes, how's it going? Something a little bit different today. As you know, I do dabble in the odd movie here and there, and today I'm going to dabble a little bit in a TV series. I'm a big fan of post-apocalyptia, and a huge fan of post-apocalyptic role-playing games, things like that, and you know, the whole end of the world thing is always my kind of jam. So when I saw this new teen dramedy called Daybreak on Netflix last night, a show I'd seen it advertised a fair few times now, and actually watched the trailers a few times as well, I wasn't sold. I ignored it because the trailer is horrifically bad and really undersells this show. I decided I'd put it on while I did some work on a new script. I may be suffering a little bit from writer's block at the moment, and managed about 50 words before I sort of failed miserably on that script and had my attention taken by the show. Anyway, that's a different story. So I bit the bullet and decided to watch this American version of The Tribe.
Look into the future, what do you see? I really need to know now, is there a place for me? And tell me, where do we go from here? Take me as you find me for what I am. And when I make mistakes,
AKA bacteria / world war / nuclear holocaust / adults vanish into dust / whatever it is, and the kids survive show. And obviously they've watched Mad Max more than once and somehow managed to survive longer than 3 weeks on their own. I guess playing games like Fallout does help in the long run to the kids these days. So expectations were lower than a snake's dingly dangly parts, in all honesty. Now, I'm going to be going into a few spoilers of the first episode in this video, so if you've not seen it yet, maybe watch it first. If you're kind of not sold because you've seen the trailer and seen how bad it is, then feel free to watch, because you know what, I'm not going to go through everything in the first episode here. I'm just going to go through the basic parts of this sort of the world building, what it's about, and go into a few details here and there, explain what you should look into, and explain why you shouldn't really judge Fallout Bueller's Day Off on the first couple of episodes alone, because in all honesty, episode 1 and 2 are a bit weak. So you might put this on and just not be interested in those first 2 episodes. They might not hook you, but the 3rd episode onwards, I think that's when this show really kicks into gear and you start getting some really good stuff. So let's get started on this one, and I'll go into detail on the series in general if people actually want that video to come. I'll see how this one does, but that will be in another video down the road. So this is just going to be a pure sort of episode 1, is this worth watching? Okay, let's get started.
Hey bros, what does the golf team do to those who crash our party?
Take another fucking step and you're dead.
Well, fuck you, loser!
So we start off with Josh. Somehow this kid looks like an old version of John Cena while still being only 23, which is just strange to me. It just doesn't look right. Anyway, he's played by Colin Ford. Many will remember him as young Sam Winchester in the never-ending series that is known as Supernatural. Anyway, he was going out with the popular kid named Sam. Wait a second. Okay, I'm skipping a part here. Josh, the Canadian kid, is kind of new to the school. He's Canadian, and thus knows how to purify his own piss into drinkable water, a Canadian superpower, obviously. They moved to California, Glendale. We start off with Matthew Broderick. He starts doing the school announcements. Cut to the classroom, and we get the hook of this show. Josh breaks the 4th wall. We see people turning into dust, and Josh walks outside, and day has gone from school to Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Josh loves the apocalypse, however. You get to skip school, chill in a cool person's house, and drive a Ferrari. Wait a second. Matthew Broderick, skipping school, having the perfect day, driving a Ferrari. Where have I Shit, this movie's copying the 1997 Godzilla! Anyway, he was meant to meet his sweetheart, Sam Dean, played by Sophie Simnett, at the homecoming football game. Not much is explained about her other than she was a kind kid. We find out about her mainly due to him naming his sweetheart's katana, Sam. The first episode is getting the lore down mainly, and the basis for the story so far is, so bombs drop, turn adults into ghoulies. There is a guy named Baron Triumph who eats kids. Alright, ghoulies. They are zombies, kind of. They are eating people and only say what they were thinking just before the bomb was dropped. We find out not only that, kids have survived the apocalypse, but cliques have as well, and they've formed with each other to make their own little sort of gang slash community slash thing. So you got the Jocks, the Golf Club, the Kardashians, there are a few others as well, like the Glamazons, I think it is. But the Jocks are your sort of Mad Max style raider sort of thing. They all have their gimmicks, is what I'm trying to say here. While out shopping for a sweet new home, after his old home was screwed over by a mutant pug, Josh hears screams from a church. Golf Club are there. They're arseholes. Got your usual hand-to-hand weapons, mainly based off Golf Club items. Anyway, this is where we get backstory explained, which I have kind of done, because this show isn't exactly linear. In its telling of the story, flashbacks are often used to explain things, which helps keep the show moving in its own weird way. It keeps a decent pace. Josh starts trying to tell a story as payment to save his life. I guess TV's being gone makes it hard to get good entertainment. This is where we get more story on Sam. Samira is English. She is also the girl that knows everyone. Is nice, which is what you say to when there's nothing else to say about a person. She helps new kids settle in and is the person that really everybody likes. So golf clubs seem to have Sam. This is where a pretty funny moment comes in, so I recommend watching the show, but this does get spoilt in the trailer. Basically, kids are not competent at killing people at all, which is great, and one of the reasons that the show started to pique my interest. Anyway, the girl is not Sam. It's Angelica, a 10-year-old, we won't use that bad word for a kid, but a psychopath, pretty much a psychopath that uses Molotovs a lot, played by Olivia Allen Lind, who is about 13 in reality, but still has a mouth that would make a sailor blush. This show is not your average sort of teen drama. This show is rated R. It's TV 18, whatever the rating is where you're from. This show is not for kids, despite starring one. Most are later teens, early 20s, but all young enough to pass as high schoolers in America, which is kind of neat. I guess American high schoolers tend to be, anywhere from like 20 to 40 years old, as we've often seen in some other films. But we get to see these kids getting brutally murdered and effed up through the series, which is also very cool. Anyway, on their way out, they meet with a third member of the starting crew. The street samurai, the lone Ronin, seeking to atone for his sins of being an ASAP bully before the apocalypse. Wesley Fists, Austin Krug. He is a huge fan of samurai movies, especially weird ones, and I can confirm the writers knew their shit on this, as there are some weird, crazy references of some interesting samurai / kung fu movies. Like, probably the most notorious on there that I picked up was Ninja 3. It will come up at some point in the series. I won't go into too much detail, but they describe the film perfectly. They've obviously watched it, which is just great because I love bad movies, and that is definitely one of them. Anyway, the golf kids signal the main jocks with their new text system, which is flares. A neat little touch. Kids understand emojis. It works well. Nice bit of world building. We are introduced to the American Ninja Idol, the entertainment for the aforementioned jocks. Basically, it looks like their band needs a new singer, and, well, how do you do that in the apocalypse? Talent show. One with a trapdoor, zombies under the stage, and a javelin rocket launcher. If they survive step 1 and 2, they probably won't survive step 3. This is where we meet Turbo, aka Head Jock, aka Lord Humongous. Our three protagonists now have to escape the jocks. who now hunt them down. We learn it's been months since the bombs dropped, as we head back to Josh's apartment, where he has a decent cachet of stuff gathered for after the apocalypse. We cover some more of the Sam stuff via montage, yada yada, kids in love, yada yada. Anyway, Jocks find the Misfit gang and they're cornered. Turbo Brojock, to give him his full name, the head of the Jocks, and the golf team are coming at them. Josh and the gang have their "why did this all happen, we need to be a team" moment. Takes a little convincing, but Josh finally gives in and they go on with a good old-fashioned water balloon fight. Wait, did I say water? I mean blood balloon. Yeah, you know, when you not only want to make people wet, but you want to give them blood diseases as well. Just so happens Josh has a stack of O-negative blood, you know, for emergencies. Good to have. Going full carry on one of the Jocks, they pour a bucket of blood over them. Sadly, no reference to cats baked in clay, but I will forgive them, that would have maybe been a bit too much of an obscure joke. Anyway, the Zomghouls attack, and we get our first real brutal death. Rest in peace, Terry, of the golf club. Another cool quirk what this show has is using writing on the screen to add to the story. The whole breaking the fourth wall thing works really well and keeps the show with a pretty light-hearted tone too. The gang split and Josh is found by the Jocks hidden in a food truck. He reflects that he's going to die, explains why he lost Sam, and then faces his demise. We cut to Angelica and Wesley heading to the mall, and they need to fight off a ghoulie as well. Unfortunately, her Russian-made flamethrower is out of gas. We find out the samurai friend is a pacifist and is not much use in a fight, unfortunately. The two are saved in the nick of time by Josh, sticking his blade through the yoga pant-wanting zombie. There is a little confusion as to where the Jocks went, however, as they are not giving chase. This is where things go from bad to worse, as Baron Triumph is there. Removes his mask, cuts to the heroes and heroines, and the end of the episode. Basically, Baron Triumph is sort of made out as this psychopath that goes and eats kids and chases them down and things like that, so a rather dramatic ending there. Now, as I said at the start, this show doesn't really have a strong start. It's enough to keep you interested if this is your thing, but I fear a few people would lose their interest. Josh is pretty dull, and it feels like it's going to be just about him, and it's just going to be another love story as well. Without going into spoilers too much, the show has a good, interesting premise. What actually happened? Who attacked who? Why did all the adults die? Who is the Baron? How did everyone who survived survive? Episode 2 is a little stronger, but the show kicks into gear around episode 3 onwards. This is, of course, Josh's show, but he is not the lead when it starts to play through. All the main cast have their own episodes, basically. We learn more about them. They have some really cool storytelling aspects in them. For example, part of one episode is made with no sound. It's really neat, a way of portraying the story, and much like, say, a video game, there is a great amount of environmental storytelling as well. The world almost makes sense in this world's universe, at least. There is a fair amount of dark humour in the show as well, which really helps, especially if you have dark humour as a thing, if you like it. The writing has its cliché at times, and you can see some things coming from a mile off, but it's not bad enough not to watch it. This show will keep you interested. It has some amazing twists and turns, some horrifically brutal violence, some great jokes, and a couple of good Easter eggs laying around as well. The show's pretty smart as well with the writing. It's relatively clever. The story hooks you in, and as I say, the writing really does hook you. It's good, and it does leave it open for a second season as well. It's a strange show. It does feel the first few episodes were a bit experimental, trying to find their way. When they sort of hit episode 3 to 4, they knew the path they were going to take, the plot twists and all that kind of thing. This kind of show is very overdone as well. The whole end of the world zombie holocaust thing, only teens survive, their own tribes thing, it's been done to death. Shows like The Walking Dead have almost killed zombies. Ironically, the way to kill a zombie is to have too many things on them, too much media on zombies. But this Daylight is a fresh new look in this area. Is it perfect? No, not at all. Is it fun and good to watch? Yes, absolutely. I really would recommend watching this one. The show is based off a graphic novel series by Brian Ralph and created by Brad Payton, who brought us such classics as Cats and Dogs, Revenge of Kitty Galore, San Andreas, and Rampage. Wait, no, keep listening. This work in his favour. Filming of these disaster films gives him a strong ability for the look of the show. Sure, the CGI is very dodgy, but the world looks great. Cinematography is done really well. Maybe it's a bit too saturated at times, but it is a very bright environment. It's bright and vibrant rather than just green or grey and dull and boring. Co-creator Aaron Eli Colette worked on Heroes as well, and the comic book world he worked on Ultimate X-Men, which is why I feel the show has such a good little comic book style to it. It has that sort of comic-y feel. Anyway, enough babbling from me. As I said, I watched this. It's actually good despite how bad the trailer is. Don't judge us off the trailer. And, well, that's it from me today. I know it's a little different from my usual content. Sorry, as I said, I've been pretty bad in a writer's block at the moment. Also, been having some serious War Thunder allergies. Also, this time of year is always a bit dark for me, so things may be a little bit slow over the next month or two. But I will look back to normal and come back to things pretty soon, usually after January. And, well, if it's proved popular enough, I may make a follow-up, as I said, going into the actual series a little bit more, going into a few more episodes. Also, if you've watched the series, let me know down below. Comment, what do you think of the show? Did you enjoy it? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Yada yada yada, all those things. Love to hear from you all. Anyway, beware of spoilers in the comments if people do post them. Just watch out for them, because there are some good things coming up in it. And other than that, this is me, Scree, out. Have a great apocalypse all. Bye bye.